Good morning everyone. Today I'm sharing with you a small fabric book that I've made. It's a very, there's my hand there. It's not a big book at all. I have made it on the theme of cottages. I've used a lot of vintage laces in this fabric book and some newer laces and appliques as well. This cover is actually made from the, my husband's overalls. Some of you may have seen it when I first made the actual plain part of the cover, and now it's been turned into a fabric book. The back of it is fairly plain, just some Tresors Deluxe laces at the top, and they've been tea dyed, and another lovely trim either from Crafty Irina or Christine Barry. Thank you, ladies. I put them together and I'm not quite sure which one of you gave me that particular lace. I have a lovely organza flower here over a butter applique. Lots of laces and seam binding to tie the cover together. Just a simple round gathered flower and a lovely satin one in the center. I have a Tresors applique pieced together there, and this gorgeous beaded trim from Luscious Laces. And I just thought it'd be fun to play with some laces again. So as you open the book up, I have this trim here also from Tresors Deluxe and one of my own vintage rose color laces, just to add a little bit of color. As you open it up, the back flap has its own little page there, and then that's the front, and we are in shot, which is really nice. Let me see if I can just back it up a little bit. On the inside cover, I have a little pocket. Inside I've put a simple card, just there, and a tag, and the tag is Crafty Irina sent it to me. I doubled it over just to make it a bit more strong, and I've just added here such a lot of laces and things at the top, and I absolutely love it. Plus it adds decoration to the outside cover. You know, it adds fullness as well once it's in there. So that's what's in the pocket. The pocket is made of some cardstock covered in this beautiful vintage lace or pieced work it is. I have a beautiful butterfly, fabric butterfly from Vilma, who is Teacup and Roses. Thank you, Vilma. I also have one up this side as well. Some pearl trim. I have the green vine trim. The little pink flowers are from a trim from Tresors Deluxe, and you'll see the flowers on this side as well. Sorry, I still have some glue on my hands. I have some wedding applique and some gorgeous antique trim here. That part there is part of this one over here, and some little paper flowers with sequins and some little satin roses. On this side I've used much the same sort of things. I've based it on a very old coffee colored lace underneath. I've used this fabric netting that was sent to me by Zeffie. Thank you, Zeffie. More wedding applique, more paper flowers. I love this little yellow trim, and that was from Seriously Scrapping, who is Irene. Thank you, Irene. I have some tatting, some tiny daisies, this lovely little lace trim here that has a metallic thread going through it, and some more tatting down the bottom, and another piece of this. I also have a scattering of blue flowers there as well, because it brings out the blue in the lovely image. All the images are just cottage images from Pinterest that I printed out onto a fabric paper. And then our next page, making sure I'm still in shot there, is I've added just this little embroidery anglaise between the pages there, just to add a little bit of interest. I have a tag that I've made and put some ledger paper on the back. This tag is from the Cottage Rose by Kaiser Craft collection. That's one of the papers in it. It's so pretty, that paper line. I have this gorgeous vintage gathered trim on the top, and a blue satin flower. Page is covered with some lovely lace and this lovely bow trim sent to me by Jean Rag. Thank you, Jean. Once again, the pocket is made out of cardstock, but it has a beautiful vintage doily folded over it, and you can see it was like completely folded over both sides, so that adds strength to the pocket. Another bit of this lovely yellow trim behind, and these sweet little satin flowers that I found at the thrift store. This is a lovely little flower, and I believe that may have come off some packaging that Louisa sent me. And then I have some applique flowers underneath, just to sort of make it pop a little bit. On this side we have, this skirt was actually my oldest daughter's skirt when she was very young, and I kept it, and you know, I love it. It's very simple, but because it reminds me of when she was a little girl. It's just a puffy gathered skirt. It's nice. We have a hanky, vintage hanky, folded over the page there. Some more of the beautiful yellow trim. Big daisy flowers and tiny little ones. In the center of those daisy flowers, I have some platinum stickles, which is my favorite stickles. Another cottage image with some vintage string wrapped around it there. And this is the middle page here. And on this side, I have, some of you may remember, I found this blouse at the thrift store, and I've used the opening of the front of the shirt there as a pocket for a little bookmark or tag, and that just slides in there with some lovely vintage laces and ribbons at the top of it, and a lovely daisy flower and doodad flower in the center there as well. It sort of blended into the page a little bit too much, so I've used this lovely organza blue trim just to sort of lift it from the lace in the background. I've also put this tatty mesh lace, or just mesh. It is actually off a lace, but I only used the mesh part just to sort of give it a nice tatty look on the edges there, and to sort of, you've got your workings of your book in there. Now, this book is not meant to be a pristine, tidy, organized kind of book. It's meant to have, the tattered edges a little bit. It's a cottage book to me. A cottage means a little bit of this and a little bit of that all put together, and it looks very comfortable and homey and things like that. And that's what I kind of wanted the book to look like as well. We have some more lovely little flowers. Now, these little flowers here and here were actually taken from the applique on the front here. I cut that up and used various pieces of it. So that's where these little flowers come from. And I have a little bit of, it's a part of a scarf, and it had these bubbly bits on the end of it. So I've runched that around it. A little bit of vintage lace there in the bow, and a satin bow that came off something that I was cutting up from a thrift store, probably an article of clothing, and just a scattering of little flowers on that one as well. And I think that's about it. More of those little blue and pink satin flowers. And then on this page it's a little bit lighter, but that's okay because the image is quite light as well. It's the other side of the embroidery anglaise, and I've just put a double vintage lace piece down there just to blend it in a little bit. We have this lovely vintage lace here, and it's got this little bit of sheer fabric on it, so I've left that on. Some drop pearl bead trim, this very pretty pleated trim down the bottom here, and I'm pretty sure that may have come from Lily's store when she was closing down. I know I also got some from Irene's store, but I'm pretty sure this was the piece I got from Lily's. I have some trim down the side here. Once again, that either came from Irene or Christine. Thank you, ladies. I have my vine in gold and a pale green. I have a big paper flower here, and that came from Louisa. Thank you, Louisa. A applique flower and also a satin flower of my own there. On this side here, this one's another more subdued kind of page. We have a little wording there which I've sort of put through the book. I just printed those out when I was printing out the pictures. I have a vintage flower button and a vintage sequin. There I have this gorgeous, I think it's probably antique trim down the bottom here. It's absolutely lovely. I got that when I got this one over here, and they're the sort of thing you don't want to use because they're so lovely and they're so old. But then I think, well, why do we get them if we don't use them? So I'm starting, you know, to use those things. Like this is a gorgeous vintage button here. It has one of those sticks that goes through with a catch at the back, and I've used that and I absolutely love it, and I think it looks lovely on this page. And this is the beautiful trim once again from Luscious Laces, and this part here is another part of the scarf that I was referring to here, and this is another part of it here, and it has this lovely mesh part attached to it, so it works quite well, I think. And this is the last spread here. We have this gorgeous blue trim once again. I love it. It's so pretty. It's quite old. Let me show you if I can. It's just really pretty. It's not the sort that I readily come across, but here we go. It looks like this. Isn't it gorgeous? And as you can see, I've just used bits off the end of that, and it's so soft and so pretty. So I've used that there. Once again, a large paper flower and an applique there, and then a little paper flower, and I decided I would leave the stalk on that because I thought it looked quite natural with the stalk still attached. We have some tatting. We have a lovely piece of wedding applique here, and I think that came from is it Crafty Lenny P? I'm pretty sure that was who that came from. This lace here is the one that comes with this one, and then a lovely vintage embroidery anglaise under there, and that's a very, very old one, and I love it. Bit of tatting, I think I said, and just a little flower there. We have a flower page here, and that's just made up of, the background lace here is gorgeous lace that Crafty Irene sent me. Thank you, Irene. And then we have a triple layered vintage lace along the bottom, and underneath that a lovely green vintage lace with bows on it as well. And I like the way the colour just shows through very subtly. So the flower, it has two doilies that you can, it's a bit hard to see because they're all, there we go, we have this doily here, that's a butterfly doily, then another one there, just a slightly different colour. Then I've pieced some lace pieces, and they were the offcuts from the lace around the top of the cover, so I've pieced those around. And then I've got this pink lace piece that came off a top from the thrift store, just once again a simple flower like the one I've used on the front, and then this lovely a flower doily piece, and that was from Jean Rag. Thank you once again, Jean. And this gorgeous vintage earring in the center, and I love that earring. I think it's wonderful. And on our last piece here we have, like I said, the butterfly from Vilma. Thank you, Vilma. My own little organza flowers, some trim either from Irene or Christina. Thank you, ladies. This gorgeous antique trim that goes around the bottom there as well, and some little paper flowers. And that is my little fabric book. and it was fun to play with the laces again. I could have kept going. I did resist the urge to add dangles to this book. I didn't think it needed it. It would have taken it in a direction that I really didn't want it to go. I thought I was sort of pushing it a little bit with the applique on the front, but I think the cover always needs something probably a little bit extra to the actual insides of the book. So there it is, and it's almost like a circle when you look at it, but it does stand up really nicely. And I love all these bits just poking out of the top there. I think they're very pretty. Kind of gives that, thrown together kind of look. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you like this little book. Take care, everybody. Bye.